Good morning. I come to you this morning at an undisclosed location, and we'll have to hurry because the mosquitoes are enjoying it just as much as I am. But I'm explain to you why this place is undisclosed. You see, when I was a kid, the location I'm standing at was only found at night. Nobody came out during the day. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This that you see behind me here is what's known as Cattleman's house. Now, Cattleman is a legend that lives on in these parts, and Cattleman is one of a kind. He can run beside rabbits and pick them up as they're running to see if they're fat enough, and then put them back down if they're no good, or go ahead and eat them on the run. He's that good. You don't ever see him. Comes out mainly at night, and just a scary hermit. Well, this really is a hermit's house that you see behind me, and Cattleman is just a made up man that was thought of course, by my family, my grandfather, and primary reason was to keep us kids close to the house in the evening, because there really are wild cats and all kinds of critters out here that probably would enjoy little kids. But Cattleman was just a figment of the imagination, and so he found this hermit's house out in the middle of the woods out here and decided this would be the perfect place for Cattleman to reside. Let me show you inside. You're going to want to see this. There's no telling how old this little cabin is. But inside you can see, is the light going to be good on that? Inside you can see Cattleman's got his pants hanging up. He did have some sort of electricity. He's got a little eating table here. Just the rustic shelter of sorts. But my papa likes to bring the kids, the grandkids, the great-grandkids out here at night and tell them about Cattleman. And so we were out here a couple of nights ago, and some of my cousins decided that Cattleman was going to make a list of the names of all the great-grandkids. And they came out and found this list. And the names of those who found the list are not marked off yet, so they're still on the list waiting to be checked off. I tell you all of that. I walk back out here, get some air. But I tell you all of that for you to think about this with me. That was a fear that was created from our imagination. I mean, the pictures were painted, the stories were told. Is Cattleman real? No. Do my kids believe that? No, because it still keeps them close to home, and we like that. But my imagination would take that Cattleman story and just run with it, and I would think about maybe what he was doing at that very moment, or how he would get me if I went out into the woods. And sometimes we're like that with life. I know when I was first having children, my greatest fear in all of life was losing one of those children, and I would begin to think about ways that I could lose them, what could happen to them, or if I wasn't careful, this would happen, or if just 100 things going through my mind, and it really broke me down mentally. A fear that was just really like the acrostic. It was a false event appearing real. It was a fear, an unlegitimate fear. And that led to many other imaginations. I would think about what other kids in our city were going through, other kids in our country. I would see stories about kids that were being abused, and I would dwell on that, and my imagination would really consume me. And my wife gave me a nugget one day. She said, I want you to think about something that the Lord has given me. She said, there is no grace for your imagination. Let that soak in. There is no grace for your imagination. You see, the kids that are going through horrible situations, I have to trust that God's giving them grace to get through those things. me thinking about those things, about what could be happening, that was just, it wasn't realistic, and God was not going to give me grace to conquer something that may not even be happening. I know that you've been sitting at home, some of you, for a couple of months now. Some of you mamas are just ready for something to change, something to happen. You've been homeschooling. I know circumstances have been different for all of us, all of you. And you're just maybe growing a little bit weary, a little bit tired of the circumstances. Isaiah 40, I go back to this chapter and these verses so many times. And here's what verse 28 says. Have you not known? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He does not faint or grow weary. His understanding is unsearchable. He gives power to the faint, and to him who has no might he increases strength. Even youths shall faint and be weary, and young men shall fall exhausted. But they who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. God is the everlasting God. You may struggle with fear like I did. You may struggle with the imagination. Wait on the Lord. Ask Him for peace. Ask Him to still your mind. We had a devotion not too long ago about being still and knowing that God is indeed still God with all that's happening around us. God is still the everlasting God. And strength will rise as we wait upon the Lord. I love that song. But would you be encouraged by those words from the prophet Isaiah today? Wait on the Lord, and your strength will be renewed. Don't be overcome by fear. Now, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, but don't be overcome by fear of things around us that could happen. There's no grace for the imagination. Rest on that today, my friends. Until next time, love you guys. Bye-bye.